It's not often that you hear Jesus described as a person with executive presence. I don't know anyone else who talks about it, but I'm going to talk about that in this video. What exactly is it that I mean when I say Jesus had executive presence, and what ultimately does that mean for us? Hi, my name is Shawn Sommerkamp, and this is Motivationeer Christian Coaching. I post 2 videos a week, so please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can be reminded when I do. Please also consider becoming a member at Motivationeer.com. Your membership really supports this channel. Thank you. There's a pretty well-known passage in Matthew chapter 7, verse 28 and 29 that I want to read for you. It says, "When Jesus had finished these words, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, for he was teaching them as one having authority and not as their scribes." Jesus taught as one who had authority. No authority had been given to him. He wasn't officially someone in the synagogue, a Pharisee, a Sadducee, but he spoke as if he had authority. And we know later in the book of Acts, the disciples are described as those speaking with authority, and it was remembered that they used to walk around with Jesus. So when I talk about Jesus having executive presence, I'm not talking about the way he dressed, which is what a lot of people think executive presence means today. Our grooming standards, the nice clothes we wear, maybe even how polite we are. None of that really applies to Jesus. We know he wore the clothes that would appeal to the people he was reaching out to. He didn't, I think when he described John the Baptist, he said, John does not wear soft clothes like those in your, the scribes and Pharisees. Or maybe he said soft clothes like the wealthy. Executive presence is not about our dress, although we do want to dress for those that we're trying to appeal to. So if we're at work and we want to have executive presence, we want to adopt to the dress culture. We know Mark Zuckerberg doesn't dress like your average executive. We see more and more people like him. They're dressing for those who they're trying to appeal to. So let's take dress off the table when it comes to executive presence. There are 4 areas of executive presence that I think Jesus emulated greatly. I'm not going to go into great detail about this. What I want you to do, though, is access the executive presence self-assessment on my website. I'll leave a link below for you to get to it. And then as you do the assessment, you'll get a much better idea. These are the 4 criteria of executive presence. The first one is poise. The second is people sense. The third is business intelligence. And the fourth is communication skill. It's probably obvious how Jesus expressed gravitas. He had that poise. He did not let things rattle him. That is a very important aspect of executive presence for us today. We don't want to wear our emotions on our sleeve. We don't want to be thin-skinned. Jesus went so far as to pray to God while hanging on the cross, saying, "Forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing." Jesus had gravitas. He was able to be poised in the most difficult situations possible. We can learn from that so that we can maintain that same poise when we're in a very stressed out, fast-paced, ungracious work environment. The second aspect, the second dimension of executive presence is that people sense. Jesus knew who he was speaking to. He had a sense for what would appeal to them, how to speak to them, even when he was talking to people that didn't really deserve the niceties like the Pharisees and Sadducees. Matthew chapter 23, for example. He listened to people and then asked them great questions that would get at where their heart was. A brilliant people sense. This is what we want in our own career. As we're speaking to others, we want to consider their situation, what they're possibly hearing, and how they're feeling. This ultimately ties to emotional intelligence. The third dimension is business intelligence. Okay, how did Jesus have business intelligence? Well, we know he was about his Father's business. So he knew what it was going to take to evangelize the world. And he started with a group of 12. He trained them to then go train others, to train others, to train others, the master plan of evangelism. But Jesus was all about that business. Now, in your career, our career, we want to greatly understand the aspects of our business that we're in. Yes, we do act as an ambassador for Christ in our workplace, so we always want to be about the Father's business. But for executive presence for us in our corporate role or government role or business role if we own our own company, is to understand that environment that we're in from a competition point of view, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats point of view. Understand the factors that affect our business, the prevailing economies that will change our profitability. We want to have an understanding of that. That will help give us that authority. And then the fourth and final dimension was communication skill. Jesus was able to communicate in a way that got his point across. Now, yes, there were times that he spoke such deep things, apparently riddles, when he used parables, that the only way for people to understand was to pursue him and ask him, hey, what does this mean? But what he communicated to them got through to them. It changed people's hearts. This is what we want to be able to do when we're communicating, whatever it is we're trying to get across. Do it in a way that is in, I would say, as few words as possible. Let's keep it to an executive summary, so to speak. Let's get the key elements of the point across early in a way that can be understood, and then ask for feedback to make sure that those that you've spoken to really do understand. Jesus was all about having executive presence, although we don't think about it very much. But it was because he spoke as one who had authority. He knew how to keep a level head in a situation. He knew the people he was speaking to. He knew the business that he was about, and he knew the communication skills to get the job done. Please go to my website, download the Executive Presence Self-Assessment, take it for yourself, and then the areas where you score the lowest, this will allow you to kind of focus some attention in those areas so we can be more and more like Christ, shining that bright light in the marketplace. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for 2 new videos each week. Tell me in the comments below about your career situation, and I'll make a video for you with a shout out. You can also become a member at Motivationeer.com. Your career is not just a way to make a living, it's a way to transform the world.